Just the pouch alone on this thing is very good looking. It has the stitching, the green double stitching on there with the logos on it. What a gorgeous leather pouch. Bang! Neeves Knives, I'm Jared, and today we're checking out something special here. We got the Poikilo Prism. Now this is the large version. There is a smaller version, but this thing is just absolutely incredible. I mean, just look at it. This is about the cleanest knife you will ever see. No hardware that you can see. You cannot see any hardware whatsoever. And then look at this centering. Talk about perfect centering. Because of the backspacer having that groove cut out in there, you know, and it wrapping around the tip right there, it better be perfect because, you know, otherwise you would see it. But my goodness, is that perfect, right? Now, something that's cool is that it has a front flipper and a regular flipper. Very minimal front and rear flipper, which is pretty amazing because typically, typically you don't see one with the other. I know we have seen it, but this is pretty cool. Now, this blade shape. My goodness, is this a wicked looking blade shape. M398 steel, by the way. And I would call this, I don't even know what to call it, but a sheep's foot Tonto, maybe? Or a hybrid Warncliffe? I don't know. Because this is similar to some knife shapes that we see where they call it a Warncliffe. Like the Hogue Deca. The Hogue Deca has that. I couldn't think for a second. The Hogue Deca has that somewhat of a look. But I don't know. Call it whatever you want. I'll say this. I can just look at this thing and tell how functional it is. One, this tip is going to easily puncture into things, right? And because it kind of goes both ways right here, that would make a nice wound channel. The next thing, kind of like a spike. The next thing is, because the tip drops down right there and it's so low relative to where the center of the pivot would be, the utility cuts are going to be phenomenal. Next, you have this spot right here where you can cut down on a flat surface, unlike conventional Warncliffes. Then you have this straight edge right here where you can slice or pull cuts towards you. Now, this is a pretty special piece, so I don't see anybody using this like as a work knife or anything, but as a basic EDC knife, something that you're just doing light duty cutting here and there, it's going to work really, really well. I mean, this thing will be a high performer as far as, cutting performance goes. And especially when you consider the M398 steel, which is an absolute beast mode steel. The edge, you can see how thin it is right here and then how it tapers from thin to thick. That's why the edge bevel changes. So anybody, when you're ever sharpening and you see where the tip is getting bigger, the bevel's getting bigger, that just means the tip is thicker. That's a normal thing. A lot of knives have that. So anytime you see thicker and thinner areas, that's where the grind is changing thicknesses. Now, yes, it can be bad if like there's like a wave or something, but when you're talking about just a taper from heel to tip or something like that, that's normal. So it adds some durability to the tip while also keeping it very, very pokey. Beautiful plunge grind. Look at that. Oh my goodness. Now that's how it should be done. Look at that. Oh my goodness, that's beautiful. And then look at this handle. Talk about a handle made for a hand. I mean, this is big. I mean, if I want to get it back as far as I can, like you can see how far back I am, this is a big one, but like I said, it does come in a smaller version. I personally love the big one. We have a liner lock. So titanium scales, I'm sure you guys knew that, but just in case, full titanium backspacer. We'll talk about the action here in 1 second. Hidden lanyard pin, titanium milled pocket clip, and we'll also talk about how this thing comes apart since it has no hardware. Then it has this nicely textured liner lock right there, which I totally dig. Now, that pops out just ever so slightly. It actually doesn't pop out. There's a chamfer on the edge, so it kind of feels like you're coming from the side. But look at that. This thing is ghost-like with its action. I mean, you feel zero bearings rolling. I don't know what type of bearings it has in here. It feels like skiffs or something. It feels like multi-row skiffs. I mean, this thing, like, just listen to that and look at that. You don't hear it nor feel it. It is just, you don't feel it until it clicks into the detent, which I think it has a conventional detent. Yes, it does. but there's just something special about it where it just feels so luxurious. Now, you have a little bit of texturing right there and right there. That's really not functional. I like the swedge up here. The blade is nice and thick. So, you know, it does add to the durability. You can see inside there, there's a lot of stuff going on. So we should probably check that out here in 1 second. Let's talk about the action first. So, we have the regular flipper. You can see it is well jimped. It has a nice jimp, but it's like barely raising up. So you just basically do a light switch. So it works well, but it is a light detent, a very light detent. Same thing with the front flipper. Very easy to use, so both of them are equally as easy to use. This is a very good front flipper, I will say that, because it's almost like the leverage you have, which, because it's slim sort of, and you know where it's poking out at, you almost just break that detent because it's so damn smooth. It's like it's effortless. It's like once you break the detent, it just carries itself home, if that makes sense, because of just how stupid smooth this thing is. Okay, so I got this titanium little toothpick here. We're gonna go right up in here, and then there's a little leaf in there. You gotta pop that down right there. Popped. You've seen that? Pop it back up really quick. Now listen. Ooh, get it. There we go. But now I gotta tap. I don't know if I need to leave this wedged in there or not. Didn't look like it in the video he had, but I see it keeps popping back up in there. This time I'm gonna go like that. There we go. All right, so then you see that key right there, how that pops down in there. Now it opens this up to the inside. Look at all that machining here. Let me back you guys out. I'm sorry. Got a little excited. I do want to take one quick look at his T8. Just really quick, I want to see the bearings because I can't see them the way it is. Look at that. I mean, it still functions just like a regular knife now because, you know, this is just an overlay. Still perfectly centered and everything. But these would have to come off, which are T6s. So I have to go like this. I just want to see it real quick. I see what type of bearings it's using, how smooth it is. I feel like there's something special here. Maybe not, maybe just regular bearings. Okay. All right, so a little more. There we go. Yep, just regular bearings. Okay. Let me look at this track. Okay, you can see where the stop pin is. So the stop pin has a track too. I love that. That's always my favorite way for a stop pin to be. And you can see it hits right there. That's really cool. So the track follows around to this side. Let's put these back in here. I typically recommend getting the liquid stuff, not this pasty stuff, because it just doesn't hold as good as the liquid. But for these screws, I'm going to use it, and then for the pivot, I'll use the liquid. Second, so it goes up and then slide down. Yep, pop it right on. Bam. Oh, gotta pop it down. Yeah, there we go. Bang. That was actually pretty easy. Pretty damn cool. That's actually a pretty nifty way of doing it. And man, it's just so smooth. The blade, the weight of the blade probably has a little bit to do with why it is so ridiculously smooth. Back you guys out a little bit. But like I said, the detent is also very light, so that does add to it because, you know, with a stronger detent, the lock bar is pushing against the blade right here. See how it's pushing against the blade the whole time? So if that has a lot of tension, it's obviously going to slow it down. But when it is very light, it's going to have a lot more smoother action. This thing has such good balance, man. It's crazy. I like this thing quite a bit. I think it looks sleek. I think it looks cool. Granted, you know, it's a big knife, so you have to appreciate big knives to get the large one. But like I said, there is the smaller one, so no worries on that. And the action with the light detent, I'm not even worried about it. You know, to me, I think it just kind of adds to what this thing is supposed to be. So I don't want it, because I don't think this front flipper and regular flipper would be nowhere near as good if it was stronger. If it was stronger, I probably wouldn't like it as much. So yeah, all in all, man, this is one sweet piece. The clip, yeah, it works fine. Clip works good. But yeah, there you guys go. What a cool, look at that. Look at how close that goes to the backspacer. You know the stop pin is hitting. I think it's right here. All right. Yeah. So the stop pin's hitting right there. So you know that's stopping the blade from hitting the backspacer. But look at how close they got it. They got it very, very close. Damn near touching. Wow. As far as negatives, there's not really much negative here. I don't want to sit here and pick on. This is a special piece, and this is something that, you know, it's either for you or it's not a sort of thing. So I'd say, like, there's not going to be much. There is nothing that I could sit here and say right now that makes it a deal breaker by any means. So because of that, you know, what's the point, right? What's the point to come up with little tiny, little dumb nitpicks when none of them would affect anybody's purchase? Like I said, I already said, you know, it has a lighter detent, but I think it needs it. I think it's supposed to have, and I think that's what adds to this knife. Anyways, there you guys go. Work hard, stay tough. Until next time, peace.